A warm welcome to all of you, those who are now watching this video lecture on Dijkstra's algorithm. I am Rupak Bhattacharjee, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, JIS College of Engineering. Our topic is today Dijkstra's algorithm. Before going into the elaborate discussion of this particular topic, I just want to inform my students, or I just want to inform the viewers, those who have experienced the previous lectures on graph theory. Please try to recall some basic important informations and terminologies related to graph theory. So, some points what we have to revisit is that, first of all, path. In the graph theoretic notification, path is a special type of combination of vertex and edges. We all know the definition and the properties of path, but for this particular algorithm, we have to just recall what the path is. So it is nothing but a sequence of vertices and edges in a particular graph, but keeping in mind that no vertex will be repeated, and obviously one edge between two vertices must be something like that the edge is connecting these two vertices. Next, we are thinking about shortest path. So in our practical life, if we think about to go from one point to another point or one place to another place, there are so many options. Even if we want to discard the repetition, and even if we want to discard the common place twice, then also there are multiple options we have from one particular point or place to go to another particular point. So among those available combinations, what we are calling here as path, what will be the shortest one? Because all the things what we are learning is related to our real life scenario, so we have to measure the shortest path depending on some criteria. We are coming into that particular criteria, but initially we have to make ourselves convinced that in almost all the cases, from one designated point to another designated point, if we want to travel, then there are more than one option what we will select according to our choice, our requirement and the availability. So for that particular thing, the next term is coming. It is also known to you all, that is weight. So if we take the example of the city of Kolkata, and if we take one position, suppose from Shialda station to Dharmatola, we can think about there are at least 4 ways we can take. 4 ways I am using this term. Suppose you have designed one particular path, but you can go using a taxi, you can go using a bus, you can go using a rickshaw, as well as you can go using tram. Now if the fare is concerned, then you will make that particular fare as the weight of that particular execution or process. But if someone thinks about time, then the same problem will be treated in a different manner because the weight of that particular graph is different. Similarly, if someone can think about the distance or someone can think about some other matters. Not only that, there are some other restrictions because some transport system cannot take a particular path or a particular road in our example. So this real number associated with an age is weight. Next, when this weight is associated with the age and is presented in the graph, then the graph is weighted graph. We know this. So before entering into the main particular topic, we are taking one example, and in this example we can see that if we take this one as a vertex, it is a vertex, this is another vertex, this is another vertex, and so on. And if we have to go from this one to suppose this one, then we can go like this. Or we can go like this, or we can go some other ways. So if we sum, then look at this, every path is not of same weight. So this is a graph, this is our example of a graph, and it is having weight. So these are the weights. So that is why we are calling it as a weighted graph. And there are multiple paths available. We have to find out the shortest path, and we have to use the following algorithm, which is our Dijkstra's algorithm. So there are some initial verifications required for this algorithm. First one is if there is a self loop. Self loop means one edge which is originated from a vertex and which is ended at the same vertex. So think about it from the practical scenario. If there is a self loop in a graph, weighted graph, and we are thinking about a path and specifically shortest path, then will there be any importance of this self loop? No, because it will create, if we follow this self loop, it will create some additional burden on this particular path. So if there is a self loop, then before applying this particular algorithm, we have to discard that. The next one is parallel line. What is parallel line? You all know that from one vertex to another vertex, if you are joining one edge, and if there are more than one edge from a same pair of vertex, suppose v1 to v2, we are having e1 and e2 two edges, e1, e2, e3 three edges, then they are parallel lines. So if there are parallel lines in our problem, before starting the algorithm, we have to choose that particular edge which is having the least weight, and other edges with those weights will be discarded. Okay, let us proceed. So suppose this is our graph, and it is very much clear that there are self loop, there are parallel lines. So before applying the algorithm, we have to follow the steps what we have mentioned just before 1 minute. Look at this. If you see this one, there are parallel lines from F to A with weight 7, with weight 5 and with weight 3. So we have to discard two of them because there are three, and obviously we will discard this one as well. We will have to discard this one. We will keep this one. Look at this. This 3 is kept and the remaining 2 are not there. Similarly, there are parallel lines with 8 and 12. So we have to discard one of them. Which one will be discarded? The edge with higher weight. So in the next one, this 12 is gone and 8 is remaining, and here we are seeing one self loop. According to our problem and instruction, this self loop will also be discarded. So in the final step, we will discard that self loop. So what we get here, a graph, weighted graph. We have to find out the shortest path for this graph where self loops and parallel lines are discarded. But one fundamental question must arise, that we have to find out the path, but from which vertex to which vertex. So in these types of problems, obviously the starting and the ending vertex has to be mentioned. So let us check what is our case. So the graph, and we are seeing there are two vertices are highlighted. One is E, another one is B. So our target is to go from the vertex B to vertex E to find the shortest path using Dijkstra's algorithm. So what the algorithm tells us, let us start. Please listen very carefully. So here we start. We have in this graph A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 7 vertices. So we have written these 7 vertices here, starting from A, ending at G. But the question is to find out the shortest path from B to E. So this algorithm states us that we have to start it by writing 0 in the position of B. Why 0? Suppose you think you stand at B and how much path you have traveled from B to B. Obviously you have not traveled any position. So obviously it will be 0. So in the first step, you have to make the labeling of the other vertices as infinity. So A is labeled with infinity, C is also labeled with infinity, D, E, F, G. So it is our first step. After making all this labeling, we call it temporary labeling. We have to find out that which one is the smallest entry in this particular labeling, and we get it that B is permanently labeled because the label of B is 0, and we get after first step this position. So I think it is clear to all of you. Now we are going to the second step, and it is for your kind information that if you understand this step clearly, then remaining steps are nothing but the logical repetition of this. So let us start. The term is B is permanently labeled. So when I am giving some vertex as permanently labeled, that means that label will never change. So in the next step, the label of B will remain as 0. Now our target is to find out that what is the relationship between B and A? So look at this, how it is calculated. We have to find out minimum of whom. There are three logical things. We are writing it in the position of A, we are writing it with the context of B, and we are checking the previous position of A. What is previous position? Infinity. What is the level of B? Permanent level 0. A and B are connected by an edge directly. Answer is yes. What is the weight of that particular edge? It is 1. So minimum of infinity comma 0 plus 1 we have to calculate. So I am repeating it one more time. When you are writing at the position of A, you have to consider the last status of A. It is infinity. Very good, comma. Then with respect to whom you are considering B. What is the permanent level of B? 0. Very good. So 0. Now B to A, if it is connected directly, then you have to write the weight of that one. And if it is not connected, we will see it after some time. So here, as it is connected, it is infinity comma 0 plus 1, it is 1. So we are moving in the next part of the second step. So we are now coming at C. Same logic will be applied. Minimum of C. What was the status of C? It is written. Then with respect to B, we are doing the calculation. So it is 0. Then plus. Our question is, B and C, are they directly connected by an edge? Answer is yes. What is the weight of them? 7. So it is minimum of infinity comma 0 plus 7, and it is nothing but 7. So in the same manner, if we go for the next vertex, that is D, let us check. D, it was infinity, it is now infinity. It is 0, so it is 0. Then plus. Then B and D, let us check. B and D, there is no direct edge. B and D is connected, but not by a direct edge. So when we are considering for this case, we will consider that it will be an infinity. So minimum of infinity comma 0 plus infinity is equal to infinity. In the same manner, when we are coming to E, let us check. It is also same, because we are seeing it that B is directly connected with C and A. So the remaining calculations for F will be same. The remaining calculation for Z will be same. Now before proceeding to the next step, please concentrate that if we now follow the same logic, that to find out the smallest entry in this particular second one, it will be 0. But 0 is already considered. We have to find out the minimum from these things. And which one is minimum? 1 is minimum. 1 corresponds to which vertex? Vertex A. So who is going to be labeled permanently? A is going to be labeled permanently. So this is the scenario. Now if these two steps are clear, then the next step and the following steps will be automatically clear. So what we are getting as the vertex A is now permanently labeled and the label of A is 1. So in the third step, the permanent label of B will not be changed because it is permanently labeled, so it will be 0. After that, now we get that the vertex A is permanently labeled, so it is 1. Now we have to think for C. So when we are going to think for C, look at this. We have to check this particular 7. We have to check this particular 1, and we have to see that whether A and C are connected or not, and we are seeing that A and C are having one edge with weight 3. So let us see what is happening. So it is minimum of 7 comma 1 plus 3, that is 4. This is the calculation what is same as all this. Now for D, if we check minimum of infinity comma 1 plus infinity, because A and D, if you check this graph, A and D, there is no direct edge, so obviously it will be infinity. In the same case for E, it is this, but for F, look at this, minimum of infinity, then 1, then plus 3, because we are having this particular edge is having weight 3, so it is 4, then this is 5. So now the same question will be asked, that which one will be permanently labeled in this step, the smallest among the available things except 0 and 1. But here we are seeing 4 is also there, 4 is also here, and both are same and minimum. So what happened? Tie between C and F. Here, if there is a tie, you can choose any one of them. So let us see what we have chosen. Okay, so F is permanently labeled in this step. Now we are going for the next step, and the permanent label of B, permanent label of A, and permanent label of F will be placed. But the remaining part we have to calculate, that is for C, D, E and G. So let us start it. So for C, look at this, it is this 4 what is here, then the next 4, this 4 is for this, and then the connectivity between C and F. Is it connected? C and F by an edge? No. So this infinity came. Next for D, minimum of infinity comma 4 plus 10. So what is about D and F? Let us check. D and F is connected by an edge whose weight is 10. So it is 10. Similarly for E it is 11, and for G it is 5. So now we have to find out the minimum among C, D, E and G. We are getting 4 is the minimum, so C will be permanently labeled, and we get this one. So look at this, in the previous step C and F there is a tie, we have selected F, we got C here. It is one good observation you can consider. Now similarly this 1, 0 and 4 will be there, and then this 4 is coming as it is permanently labeled in the last step. Okay, before proceeding further, we must have a question that what is the terminating criteria for this algorithm? Will we check all the vertices to be permanently labeled? Will we perform the number of steps is equal to number of vertices? Or will we have some different terminating criterion? So our common sense also tells us that as our target is from B to E, that is why we have started from B, then this algorithm must conclude or terminate when our target vertex, for this particular example that is E, will be permanently labeled. So let us check the next step. So here we are checking D. and according to the same calculation we get the temporal level of D, then E, and then G. And what we are seeing here, G is permanently leveled because G is having the level 5. So in the next step, 1, 0, 4, 4 and 5, all these are permanently labeled. They came in the next step. Now the remaining are D, E and D and E. So for D, when we are calculating, we get that minimum of 12, this 12, then this 5, and the connectivity between D and G. So let us check D and G. Yes, there is one edge which is having weight 3. So it is 12 comma 5 plus 3, it is 8. And for E, it is 7 because of this 11, because of this 5, and because of this 2. 2 means E and G. So let us check E and G. Yes, it is 2. So what we get, E is permanently labeled and we get our target vertex reached. So what you see here, the target vertex E is permanently labeled. So our execution of this algorithm terminates here. But please recall what is our final target. We have to find out the shortest path from B to E, as well as we have to tell that what is the total weight of that thing. So let us check the next steps. So what are our final requirement? We have to find out the shortest path and the total weight of the shortest path. The permanent level of the target vertex is the total weight of the shortest path. This information gives us that the previous problem is having the permanent level of the target vertex E is 7. So the weight of that shortest path will be 7. Okay, fine. But the question is how to find out the shortest path. So one process we are going to adopt now, that is called backtracking method. So what is our backtracking? Let us consider this one, that first I am going to mention what is our backtracking method. Obviously after that I am going to show you the example and then it will be very much clear. We have to start from the permanent level of the target vertex. Look at this. Our target vertex is labeled permanently at the last step, but we have to start backtracking from that permanent level of that level of the target vertex, and that is why it is called backtracking. Then what we have to do? We have to go back according to the column until and unless there is a change. Change of what? Change of the label. So if there is a change, then we will search for the vertex which one is labeled permanently in that step. We have to reach for that particular vertex. Then we will repeat the same process until the source vertex is reached. And this backtracking method ensures that in this process we will obviously reach to the source vertex. So let us check. This was the table what we have generated in the particular problem discussed, and this is our graph. So this is the permanent label of our target vertex, and our target vertex was E. Starting vertex was B. So according to the rule, it is 7. We will start backtracking. So we have backtracked one step from this step to this. Please concentrate. It is 7. It is 11. Is there any change or not? There is a change. So now we have to search in this particular level or in this particular step, which vertex is permanently labeled, and what is mentioned here in the note, G is permanently labeled. So we have to go for that particular vertex. Again I am repeating, from 7 to 11 there is a change. As there is a change, we are searching for the vertex which one is permanently labeled in this step. Here G is permanently labeled, that is why we are going to G. Then the same process will be repeated. So here it is 5, here it is also 5. Is there any change? The answer is no. So obviously we will not search anything here, we will just go for the next step, backtrack. Again it is 5, so it is, look at this, this is 5, this is also 5, so there is again no change. So what is the process instructs? The process tells us that we have to backtrack one more time in the same column. So we have backtracked, but here we are seeing it is infinity. So it is 5, it is infinity. There is a change. So we have to search for the vertex again in this particular step, that which vertex is permanently labeled here. We see that it is A because it is mentioned in the note. So we have to go for the vertex A. Then again there is 1, there is infinity. So there is a change. We have to find out the particular vertex which is labeled in this step, and we get it is B, and B is also our starting vertex. So look at this, in this backtracking method we have reached to our initial vertex. Now it is our time to summarize the thing. What we get? B to A. Look at this, now I am trying to find out the final path. If you check, you have identified the path by backtracking method, but when you have to give the answer, you have to give the answer from B to A, because this is the question, that B to E, what is your shortest path. So what you get here, B to A, then A to G, B to A to G, then G to E. So look at this, when you are backtracking here from in this logic to reach to the initial vertex, and when you are mentioning the shortest path, then you have to start from B. For from B you got that A is permanently labeled, so you got to A, then A to G, and then G to E. So look at this, if we now write the shortest path is B to A to G, G to E, and if you just look at the corresponding weights, what you get, total weight of this shortest path is 1 plus 4 plus 2, that is 7. If you look at the graph also, then you are also getting the same thing, and already you got this 7 over here, that what is your permanent level of the target vertex. So in this manner we have completed the discussion of the Dijkstra's algorithm for finding out the shortest path of a given weighted graph. Now this is for your practice. You have to find out the shortest path from the vertex A to vertex F. So where is our vertex A? This is our vertex A, and where is our vertex F? This is our vertex F. So look at this, it is one weighted graph, you are seeing it. and there are multiple paths. You have to find out the shortest path according to Dijkstra's algorithm. So hope you have understood this thing. My email ID is given in the first slide. So if there is any confusion, you can communicate with me. Thank you for learning. Thank you for listening.